But right now, with a few notable exceptions who deserve credit, most Republican politicians, they're not even pretending that the rules apply to them. They seem to be willing to just make stuff up. And that's true here in Nevada, just like it is across the country. As the co-chair of Donald Trump's campaign in Nevada, Catherine's opponent helped to lead efforts to overturn the results of the last election. Don't vote. What are we going to do? We're going to vote. But he filed bogus lawsuits, pushed phony claims of voter fraud. So I think it's fair to say that if he loses this race, he's going to do it again. He has no actual evidence of election fraud because there's actually no widespread election fraud. But he's not going to let that stop him. He's going to look under every rock in the desert to try to find an excuse. Although if he wins, I'm guessing he'll be less concerned. All those votes will be legit. Funny how that works. Listen, I lost my first congressional race by 30 points. I got whooped. You know what I did not do? I didn't say this was rigged. I didn't claim fraud. I certainly didn't instigate a riot on the Capitol. Instead, I asked myself, how can I be better? How can I connect with voters better? Because that's how it's supposed to work. That's stuff we teach our kids, right? You know, you're in the sandbox, things don't go your way. You don't throw a tantrum. Throw something at the other kid. If you see your kid do that, you pull them aside, kind of hard too, you know. It's like, listen, don't do that. We teach our kids to be fair, to be honest. Well, we should expect the same from our politicians. Because, listen, I understand that democracy might not seem like a top priority right now, especially when it doesn't always feel like the results work for you. You don't see enough progress on issues that matter to you and your family. Sometimes progress is slow. But we have seen throughout history, and we see right now around the world, what happens when you give up on democracy. You can see it in countries where the government tells you what books you can and cannot read. Countries where if you dissent, you get put into jail. Countries where reporters are silenced. Countries where it doesn't matter who you vote for because the same folks are going to win every time. And they'll do whatever they want. And where corruption is rampant because there's no accountability. When true democracy goes away, people get hurt. And it's hard to recover. It has real life consequences. And that's why generations of Americans fought and died for the idea of self-government. That's what this flag is supposed to stand for. That's why we believe and set up rules and democratic norms that work. Rules we teach our kids when they're little about being honest and being fair, about how groups are supposed to make decisions, and everybody gets a say, and everybody gets a turn, and if you don't get your way, you don't take your ball and go home or have a tantrum. You get over it and try to do better the next time. Democracy is at stake in this election, Nevada. And that's why it's not enough to elect Democrats like Steve Sisolak and Catherine Cortez Masto. We also have to elect good people up and down the ballot. Like Cisco Aguilar, who's running to be your Secretary of State. You know, Nevada makes it easier to vote in most than many other states. You got early voting, you got universal mail-in voting, same-day voter registration. They don't just help Democrats, they make it easier for everybody to cast their ballot, no matter who you're voting for. Cisco's opponent wants to make it harder to vote. He's trying to one-up all the Republicans peddling lies about the 2020 election by saying that all elections in Nevada for the last 15 years have been fake. Really? The last 15 years, all of them. He's going around rural Nevada spreading lies about how you can't trust electronic voting machines. But apparently you can trust an election denier to oversee volunteers hand-counting ballots. That's not somebody you want in charge of your elections. It'd be like if the Raiders were playing the Chiefs and you notice that instead of the refs who've been calling games for 20 years, somebody said, hey, how about that guy over there wearing the Chiefs gear who's been tailgating for the last 3 hours, drinking some brews, and ranting about how the Chiefs actually beat the Bucs in the Super Bowl last year. They look impartial. Let's put them in charge. If you wouldn't do that for a football game, why would you do it for an election? Instead, what you need to do is vote for somebody like Cisco who believes that every vote should count. Full stop. Shouldn't be a radical idea. It didn't used to be a radical idea. That's why you've got to send Cisco into the Secretary of State's office to protect the integrity of our elections. Make sure your vote is counted. Right now, you get a chance to make a difference, so long as you vote. And we joke in my house, between me and Michelle can sometimes be the glass half empty. She can get a little down. I'm the hope and change guy, so I'm usually a little more optimistic. And sometimes when she gets down about the state of the country, state of the world, she's been reading too much, watching too much stuff, and hearing crazy stuff. I'll say, hey, honey, it's going to be okay. Because I believe it will be. But you know what? It won't be okay on its own. The reason I believe it'll be okay is because I believe in you. It'll be okay if we fight for it and work for it. Not just on election day, but every day in between. That's why this election matters, Nevada. These may be tough times, but we've been through tough times before. We just have to resist the temptation to give up, to turn inward, to see politics as a zero-sum game where everything goes and rules are broken. And the only way people like, quote-unquote, us win is if people like them lose. Remember what I said at the beginning. That is how we lose. It's when we turn on each other and make up stuff about each other. But if we come together, then I'm optimistic. Because even in our darkest moments, and there have been darker moments in this country before, we've always had more in common than our politics and sometimes our politicians suggest. Even when times are tough, what unites us, family, community, respect, dignity, hard work, honesty. What unites us has always been stronger than what divides us. There have been certain values that bind us together as citizens. No matter who we are, no matter where we come from, no matter what we look like, no matter who we love, that's the promise of America. That's what this stands for. That's who we are. And in this election, you have a chance to vote for leaders like Stephen Horsford and Dina Titus and Susie Lee and Aaron Ford and Cisco Aguilar and Steve Sisolak and Catherine Cortez Masto, who believe in that flag and believe in those values and will fight for the big, inclusive, hopeful, forward-looking America that we all believe in. We may not fix all our problems overnight, but we can make things better. And better's worth fighting for. So if you're anxious or frustrated right now, don't complain. Don't tune out. Don't get bamboozled. Don't fall for the okie doke. Get off your coat. Get off your couch and do what? Put down your phones and do what? Vote for this incredible Nevada Democratic ticket. Make sure other folks do the same. If enough of us make our voices heard, We will build a country that is more fair and more just and more equal and more free. I believe in you. Let's go do it. Thank you, Las Vegas.